Remember the uh, prosecutor who was basically appointed in order to do Trump's dirty work. Well, a judge said you can't be that person. It was illegally done. Well, she continues to call herself, um, well, the U.S. attorney. Put her up full mask. So a judge ordered the Trump lawyer to stop saying she is in fact the U.S. attorney for that district. Remember in November, U.S. District Judge Cameron McGowan Curry found that the Justice Department had in fact violated the Constitution by appointing that woman. That is Lindsey Halligan. She's still acting in that role. A federal judge Tuesday ordered Trump ally Lindsey Halligan to explain why she continues to call herself the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, even though another judge determined in November that she had been unlawfully appointed to that position. U.S. District Judge David Novak of Richmond issued a 3-page order demanding to know why Halligan is still serving in the post. Halligan, who unsuccessfully prosecuted former FBI Director James Comey and unsuccessfully prosecuted New York Attorney General Letitia James, is also referred to as U.S. Attorney by the Justice Department in official documents. Now, just to make some sense of all this, she was unable to prosecute these high-profile cases because she didn't understand how to do the paperwork. Why? Because she wasn't qualified to be there in the first place. And she wasn't going to get help from the individuals that she leapfrogged in order to get that position just to carry out Trump's dirty work. She's not a filer. She doesn't do motion. She's not the paperwork person. She was just Trump's surrogate. And so she found out quickly that your I's gotta be dotted and T's gotta be crossed. And so the judges called her out on this. And so she was unable to move forward for some paperwork dynamics in the beginning. Showed how unqualified she was. When it goes to court about the appointment itself, which was a filing, I think, by Letitia James, it may have been by more, the court agreed this person isn't even qualified to prosecute, period, because the appointment was unlawful. Now, the judge's order is unusual. I'm gonna tell you why it's unusual in just a moment. Because he issued it on his own, not at the request of a defense attorney. It came in a case involving a carjacking and attempted bank robbery suspect who was indicted last month. Novak gave Halligan 7 days to respond in writing, explaining the basis for identification of herself as the United States attorney, notwithstanding Judge Curry's contrary ruling. She shall also set forth the reasons why this court should not strike Ms. Halligan's identification of herself as United States attorney from the indictment on this matter. The judge's order goes on to say, Halligan, quote, shall, that means it's not optional, shall further explain why her identification does not constitute a false or misleading statement. Novak also alluded to potential discipline action and demanded that Halligan sign her response. The U.S. Attorney's Office did not immediately respond to a request for comment Tuesday night. In late November, U.S. District Judge Cameron McGowan Curry found that the Justice Department had violated the Constitution by appointing Halligan as U.S. Attorney. That finding led to the dismissal of criminal cases against Comey and James. The entire reason why Halligan was there was to do Trump's dirty work of prosecuting his political enemies. There's more. Curry ruled that all actions, quote, flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment, including securing and signing Mr. Comey's indictment, were unlawful exercises of executive power. She also issued a separate, similar ruling in the James case, saying Halligan had exercised power she did not lawfully possess. Novak acknowledged on Tuesday that the November ruling regarding Halligan's appointment had been appealed, but said that since the order had not been paused, it remains the binding precedent of the district and is not subject to being ignored. So you have a ruling. The ruling says you're unlawfully appointed. You have an appeal. The appeal does not create an injunction to the ruling, meaning a pause, which simply means you are no longer serving in that capacity by law. You are not the prosecutor for this district any longer. The only way that would have been different is if the appeal carried an injunction to the ruling. It would have paused the judicial ruling. It did not. Other judges in the district have previously expressed their frustration with Halligan, including one who now places an asterisk next to Halligan's name on every court document, and next to it refers to Curry's ruling from November. And I want to say this to the judges who are basically not enforcing the law as they should. Here's what you do with Halligan. You'd hold her in contempt of the judicial order. It's called contempt of court. You are part of the co-equal branch as well. We're talking about the judicial branch. A ruling has gone forth. This person is still acting in the capacity of their previous appointment that you have deemed to be illegal. And instead of holding that person in contempt of court, which would also create a ding on their bar license, which would also mean they will be subject to suspension by the bar, which then it would mean she couldn't be qualified anyway to be an attorney inside of the Department of Justice. But you have to take the first step. And the first step is holding her in contempt of court or contempt of the order, because she's clearly in contempt. Putting an asterisk sign next to her name in order to cite the previous judicial ruling that invalidates her as the prosecutor or the prosecutor for that district is not a suitable remedy based on Constitution or law. Enforcing it is. That's why you have the great power of enforcement through judicial remedy, which is holding them in contempt. Why not? All right. Senator, thoughts here?
Doc, you giving out a lot of, making a lot of points here today on the legal side. People should take note of that. You know, she fits right in to the Trump administration because she thinks she's above the law. She also thinks that she could thumb her nose at the judicial branch. And what really is galling is this is an administration that sang the song. They're still singing this song about rule of law, rule of law, rule of law, rule of law, rule of law until it comes to them. So the judicial branch here, the judges should go further, as you just laid out, Doc. But at least I'm glad minimally they're calling it out, that they're not afraid to call it out, because but the Congress has totally abdicated its responsibility to be a branch of government. So I'm glad to see some of these judges trying to hang in there strong.
That's right. Well said. And a reminder, co-equal means co-equal. If one branch gets out of line, you need to get equally out of line to be co-equal. That's what co-equal means. Sometimes these powers have to be checked.
That part.
All right.
You said
I'll bring updates. That's right.
I'm feeling that, what you just said.